Hi, it's Michelle, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what does it look like to work with me when we're trying to figure out how to enhance our user adoption and increase system uptake. Like, what does that look like? Generally, when we do this type of work, we already have a system to work with. So if we are starting from scratch, then there's other things we do first. Okay, so this is if you already have a system in place and we're either getting ready to or in the middle of experiments to see like how can we increase our user adoption, or we just know like, hey, we don't have the engagement that we thought. And from a financial perspective, we're not getting the results that we thought we were going to get, and we want to know why. And a lot of times this is kind of a twofold thing. Some of it can be behavioral, and it's just that people are used to doing what they're doing, and so now there may be a way for a system to do this for them and they don't trust it. And that, again, they might create, like if it's a purchasing system and you need so many people to approve, especially depending on cultures like around the world, like people won't necessarily engage in that process, right? They'll have their own process they continue while they have your approval process as well. That's just one example. But so sometimes we've got to figure out how to engage people more so that they trust you, so that they can let go of whatever they were doing before. And sometimes it's just that we need to have them let go and trust that the information they need is in the system, so that they don't, and then when they realize that it is, they're going to become some of your biggest champions for whatever role it's you have next. And I've seen that time and time again when we take this additional time and step to really drill down and start having one-on-one conversations with our key change movers. So that's really the first phase of this two-pronged approach, is that we have very key member user adoption meetings. It's very intentional, it's very focused, and it's a very small group. So when I'm working with someone, I'm going to work with one or two managers, and we're going to have very intimate conversations about the one or two people we're going to see if we can impact change next. And we're going to do that not by saying you need to do this, but to listen to them and find out why they aren't using our system, and then come back and like process that and like figure out how do we get them on board. And so we're going to go through that. So while a lot of times the big box stores will give you these chain like consulting groups, they will give you these huge lists of end users and say, oh, these are all the people, and there are times where obviously if you want to communicate about something, you need to know who all those people are. That is not the list I'm talking about. I am saying that generally you can move change in an organization with about a department, even a large department, with less than 20 people. And you can really start to make an impact with about 5. But those have to be very focused conversations, very thoughtful interactions. And so with my coaching background, that's really fun for me to help people. I don't have those conversations. I coach you how to have those conversations and the things to think about when we have those conversations. And then I hold the team accountable by just saying, where are we? Where are we in terms of engagement and acceptance? And so that's the first prong. And then the second prong is our individual focus groups. And I really should call them sessions, because in general, people do better one-on-one. Just think about it. If we have like 10 people in a room and I want your opinion on something, and your opinion is going to be, hey, I don't really use this because it doesn't meet my needs. That might be all you say in a room of 10 people, and you're going to kind of hem and haw about it and not be super like direct. Yeah, I don't use this because it totally doesn't meet my needs, right? You're going to be like, well, especially if you know that people who are involved are there, you're going to be like, well, it's a great tool and I occasionally use it. And the reality is you never use it. You think it sucks, right? Or it doesn't meet your needs at all. And nobody came and asked you your opinion, right? Whatever it is that's going on with you, you are probably not going to sit there and talk about it in a group of 10 people, especially when somebody who's involved in the project is there. When you're able to talk to users one-on-one, and it's somebody from outside the organization, I just have much better experience because they're able to talk to me, because one, I have no skin in the game, so I'm not going to care if they tell me I never use this thing. The only thing I'm going to care about is why. And I'm not going to have judgment of, like, when I ask that question. It's just, okay, you don't use it, so how do you do your job? Like, how do you do these actions that we thought the system could do for you? How are you doing them? And why isn't the system working? And sometimes the answer is, oh, I didn't know the system could do that. Sometimes the answer is, it sort of works, but not really, and so I have to like do a workaround, and so I'd rather just do the whole workaround myself instead of using the system. And sometimes the answer is, this one or two people, there's like one-offs, and like right now, given the cost of everything to create that enhancement, it's not really going to pay off. We obviously could do it, but we're going to decide that some people, they really are one-offs, and we're going to just allow that to be. And the reason this is important is when we do metrics, and we want metrics to encourage engagement and usage, if we penalize a group that we haven't actually built functionality into, that's going to really piss them off, right? And so anything we do going forward, we're not going to have their buy-in, and we don't want that, right? And that's nobody's intention ever. I'm not saying that people intentionally do that, but I think sometimes if we don't have that additional understanding of our end users and what's going on with them individually, that can be an issue. Now, I am not suggesting that I talk to 10 million people in your company, but what I do suggest is that we do the 80-20 rule, and we say, okay, for example, a lot of my background is in purchasing and the back end of things. And so, for example, if people are not using this purchasing system, why aren't they? And sometimes the answer is, I will never forget this. I once had a secretary come to me, and she's like, Michelle, you're with that group, right? That's doing the buying thing. I'm like, yeah. She's like, I cannot figure out how to get everybody here their own calendar, because everybody on my team has a different calendar, and everybody wanted like hard copies. So some wanted desks, some wanted planners, some wanted all those different things. She's like, I used to just like rip one out of the back of the planner and then just check everybody's what they currently have and then fax it, and it was done. And now I have to put it in the system, and I have to get approvals and all this stuff, and it took forever. It took forever for us to do this. It was painful for me, because we thought this was a great thing, and then to sit down and do that, just not even intentionally, just because I was in the building, it was painful. But you know what? It was really helpful, because here I am, part of the team, saying, this is going to make your job so much easier. And the thing is, the following year, I don't think it made her job easier. Let's be honest. Like, if she could do something and fax it and it was done, like, it was done, right? But if next year, since now all her purchases are now in that system, she can go and redo it, it's going to be easier, right? It'll be about the same. But that first time, man, that was painful. That was painful. And our team failed because we didn't acknowledge that. Why? Because we didn't know. So there's going to be things like that that'll happen. And so when you do the 80-20 rule and you say, okay, here's our spend, here's where we thought when we were talking about doing these changes, where we thought that was going to really impact things, here's where we actually can impact, and here's where we can't. And if we can't, and we still think we should be able to automate some of that or do something that's going to give us savings and make other jobs easier, then let's think about that in an experiment, and we can get more drill down into what those people actually need. But until that time, let's remove the metric from them, because if we are mandating that they use a system that does not work for them, that's going to give us all sorts of trouble. We'll never get buy-in on anything we do ever again. So, and I know that's never anybody's intent. I know that, but sometimes when we just don't have that extra feedback loop, we fail. And it's not intentional, but it just happens. And so I help you have those wins and have better understanding of your end users, so that everybody hopefully is a little bit happier. We're getting better return on that investment, and we have better engaged users. So if you're interested in that, give me a call, click the link below. I'd love to work with you. Thank you.